Laura Uyghur, and they noticed here my introduction, and they said, we're going to cross half of it off. So the quickie intro. So Becky Bartosik is the president and CEO of the Fox Cities Chamber. Having relocated to Wisconsin in 1998, where did you relocate from?
The Upper Peninsula.
The Upper Peninsula of Wisconsin.
Yes,
We're both Upers.
You're both Upers. We'll tell the story sometime of why the Upper Peninsula is part of Michigan when it's really attached to Wisconsin, but that's for a different time. So having relocated in 1998, Becky's previous experience included vice president of the Great Lakes for Alltel Wireless, market leader for the QTI Group, and small business owner of a State Farm agency. Laura Uyghur is executive vice president in charge of marketing and events for the Fox Cities Chamber. Prior to joining the Chamber in 2021, she worked in a senior marketing role at a regional bank. She also has had marketing roles in the healthcare industry and owned her own marketing consulting firm for 15 years. So without further ado, Laura and Becky.
So I am actually the brief speaker tonight. Laura asked me to come and just add a little color commentary as needed. But to start us off and talk to you a little bit about where we're at today. Because Laura is actually the woman on our team that has recently done the true deep dive into our region and into our organization. So first of all, on behalf of the Fox Cities Chamber and our business community, I want to thank you for all of the amazing work that you do keeping our history alive. This organization was the first call that we made when we started figuring out how we were going to celebrate our 150th anniversary this year. So to tell you a little bit about the organization today, as I mentioned, this month we are 150 years old. It was actually the 9th mayor of Appleton and a group of business people, businessmen, I should be specific, started this organization, and Laura will go into that history. But in the past couple years, we have seen a lot of change in your chamber. And I can proudly say, when we look at the state of Wisconsin, we are far from the largest community in the state, closer to 4th or 5th, or depends on who's reporting what as far as demographics. But our chamber today is the second largest chamber in the state of Wisconsin, second in membership only to the Milwaukee area. And we are growing rapidly. So to tell you a little bit about the past couple of years, in 2022, we launched a program that's called Connect Free. So if any of you know small business owners that have 5 or less employees, full-time employees or equivalent, any nonprofits with 10 or less full-time employees, or any freestanding restaurants, they actually qualify for a completely free membership level with our organization. Because we knew to grow our economy and to attract more talent to our region, people wanted a thriving small business economy. So we worked with our board of directors 2 years ago, and we launched a really unique program that provides this free membership model. And I'm excited to tell you that 2 months ago when we were in Dallas, Texas, we were named the National Chamber of Commerce of the Year. But most importantly, it's been 150 years to get here. So I will jump in as Laura requests any additional commentary, but Laura's done a tremendous deep dive, and I just want to thank you for all of your help helping us get to this point to be able to tell our story. And on all of your seats, you should see a pamphlet as well.
Okay, thank you, Becky. That was a great way to set up where we are now. But how did we get there? And that's some of the things that I'm going to run through with you today. So picture it, 1874, Ulysses S. Grant was president. There was a deep economic depression underway. Harry Houdini was born that year in Budapest. And a few years later, he did move to Appleton with his family, as we all know. And then in August of 1874, a group of Appleton business leaders, visionaries for the time, met at the Waverly House in August to consider an official chamber for the city. Then 1 month later, in September, the 21 men officially signed the charter, the Constitution, and the Appleton Chamber of Commerce was launched. Membership was $3, and that was for a year. And as Becky mentioned, the 9th mayor of Appleton, A.L. Smith, who was also a banker, I believe it was First National Bank, was our first board president.
And membership is cheaper now than it was then.
Yeah, so now we're free for some small businesses. So I'm gonna take a few sidebars now and again, because as I dug into the history, just some things just fascinate me that hopefully you'll enjoy them too. The very first meeting when they talked about the Chamber of Commerce was at the Waverly House. And I'm not sure if you are all familiar with the Waverly House in our history, but it was the first facility in the West, in the first hotel that was electrically lighted in every room. It was located on the northwest corner of Lawrence and Appleton, where a city parking ramp is now located. And this is a statement that was in the newspaper at the time about the Waverly House. The better class of travelers who visit Appleton on business or pleasure seek shelter at the Waverly. The building is a fine brick structure, 4 stories high, with mansard roof. The first floor is occupied by a commodious office, reading room, sample rooms, and large dining room. The cuisine of the Waverly has no equal. The guests are provided with every requisite for comfort and convenience. It was a luxury hotel at the time in Appleton. Unfortunately, it was destroyed by fire in 1897. Moving back to our history. So in 1919, the Menasha Chamber of Commerce was first organized. And unfortunately, I could not find a lot on the history of that particular chamber, but more to come on that. The Appleton Chamber kind of had ups and downs just based on what was going on with the economy and the various people who were volunteering. They kind of waxed and waned. And then in 1920, they had a huge rebirth. So the chamber reorganized at that time, and it was a huge deal, a lot of fanfare and with great success. In one night, March 29th, 1920, they ramped things up. 612 members signed up in one night to revitalize the Fox City, at the Appleton Chamber of Commerce at the time. I could not find where the early office locations are, but in the 1920s, you may be familiar with the structure that they were in, and that was in the old AAL building. They had office space up in that is the one that is now torn down. But deviating a little from there, this chamber group, when they revitalized things, met at the Sherman House. So the Sherman House was opened in the early 1880s on Washington Street. It also was lighted throughout by electricity, had all modern improvements. It was $2 a night to stay at the Sherman House. In 1922, you might recognize this name, it became the Conway Hotel. And then in 1976, it became the Washington Place Elderly Housing, closed in 2012, demolished in 2013. This is the building where the chamber was housed initially in the 1920s, and I know you're all familiar with the AAL building. So the tall AAL building required the demolition of this original 1923 building. So that was torn down, and as you know, that's now the 222 building. It is the tallest building in Appleton. AAL used the College Avenue building as its main home office until 1977, and later as a secondary office site. And as you probably know, they merged with Thrivent in 2023 and sold the building. And you also probably know that US Venture purchased that earlier this year, and they are renovating it to use it for their corporate headquarters. Just a couple other fun things. This is the Appleton Chamber of Commerce tourism brochure from the 1920s. And where's the gentleman who had that? Back there. He actually has a physical copy of it that he found. So if you're curious, you can see what it looks like inside. I did include a couple of pictures here just to kind of show how they tried to get tourists to come here back in the day. So it's kind of interesting. So back to our history. Then there was a phase from 1920 to the 1940s where I like to call it our planes, trains, and automobile phase. That was really the focus of a lot of the chamber initiatives and what they're advocating for. We wanted to improve our supply chain, our transportation routes, and help businesses be able to do more business outside of the Appleton area. So for example, we worked hard for a new freight depot and secured better express and faster train service to Chicago, which if you can see that, it was $4.60 round trip. Planes were also a huge part of, and it still is, of what we do and advocate for as a chamber. We've had a long-standing partnership with what is now Appleton International Airport. And the same with roads and our automobiles. In 1920 to 1940, we established a traffic bureau division and also a credit bureau division to help out merchants. Getting back to the airport, so we advocated for and helped the Outagamie County Airport get off the ground, to say. So in 1963, preliminary work was started for the new airport on a site west of the city of Appleton in the town of Greenville. The new airport was dedicated in 1965. New crosswind landing strips were built, and the first section of the terminal building was completed. And then they built facilities for clients such as Kimberly-Clark, MaxAir, and Federal Express. Okay, going back to the Twin Cities of the time. So the Neenah Chamber was not organized until 1940. They actually had a junior chamber of commerce that was very active, so they really supported developing the youth and getting them more involved in the community. But they didn't have an actual chamber of commerce until 1940. Then in 1946, the Neenah and Menasha chambers decided to merge together in what they called the true spirit of the Twin Cities. And they operated successfully for many years and were involved in many projects and programs that benefited the entire Fox Cities area. 1958, just to show again the impact of the chamber and how we've continually advocated for success and for transportation and infrastructure, is we passionately supported the South Oneida Bridge structure that was done at that time. And again, the airport, as I mentioned. And I just want to show you, this is another clipping. Newspapers.com is wonderful. I loved the things I found there. And just to show you how big a deal this was, they had a whole full-page spread on the Oneida Bascule Span dedication. Okay, then 1966. I do have some things up here you're welcome to look at afterwards. And this building just fascinates me. The Appleton Chamber of Commerce built this brand new building, and I don't know if anyone remembers it. It had 12 pillars on it, and it stood, it doesn't give the address. 110 Washington Street is where the new bus terminal is right now. And it's just amazing, fascinating building. And that was built in 1966 and later sold to the city. In 1967, I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. There's the picture I was just holding up. Had a host of modern features, including the 12 columns that it stood on that suspended the building 12 feet above the ground. And each of the pillars symbolically represented different values that the chamber embodied at the time, from creativity to leadership, integrity, etc. Then going back to our history, 1967, the chamber was really ramping up. They had a community action plan that really was instrumental in some key things that shaped the future of the Fox Cities, including establishment of Fox Valley Technical College. There was a vocational school in the early days, but they started helping pave the way for the establishment of Fox Valley Technical College and other projects such as the Appleton Development Authority. 1976, this was another key area. I don't know if any of you recognize the young gentleman in the middle, but that is John Bergstrom. And John he always still is a very passionate chamber supporter. And in 1976, The Nina Menasha and Appleton Chambers decided it would be in the best collective interest of our business community to merge. And let's pool the talent and the resources and be better together for the sake of the whole business community. And John was extremely instrumental in that. He was the first board president after the two chambers merged, and we've never looked back since. At that time, 1976, it was called the Fox Cities Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And then one other quick highlight, 1981, this little event we have called Oktoberfest was born. I don't know if anyone has been there. It is happening the end of September, September 28th, 27th and 28th. We get about 300,000 people now who come to both days. And that little event was started in 1981 as a way to showcase the city and promote our downtown area. And again, never look back. Very successful program. The Chamber was also instrumental in the Highway 441 project. We worked with the city, the planners, developers, all the communities to make sure that this integral part of our highway infrastructure could be put together. And as you know, it's something we drive every day now, and we just take it for granted. So we're proud to have played a part in that. 1991, Leadership Fox Cities was started. This is the longest standing leadership development program in the community, and we're very proud. We have graduated, over 1,000 individuals from the program, the current and past leaders in our community. 1992, if you're familiar with Appleton Downtown Inc., they spun off from the Chamber. That's the thing a lot of people don't know. So the Chamber had a downtown Appleton committee that spun off into Appleton Downtown Inc. The Chamber had a tourism committee that spun off into the Fox Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau. So, we're proud to say that the Chamber was kind of an incubator where a lot of things that kind of took a life of their own, and they've now grown into bigger and better things. But we still are partners and work collectively together.
The Tourism Convention Bureau laughs that the difference between the Chamber today is we want people to come to the community and move here. And the Tourism and Convention Bureau wants people to come here, enjoy our community, and go home.
Yes. Great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then in 2004, we moved to the building we currently are in at this time. By the way, I did want to point these out. Becky, you want to hold this up?
Sure.
This was our 150th booklet. Every single building that we could find that we've occupied is highlighted in there. So I think there's 5 or 6 to date. This is the one, as I mentioned, that we are currently in right now. It used to be Title Company, Outagamie Abstract. It was Thrivent Bank, Credit Union, and then Bank. I think they switched. And then in 2004, we purchased the building, and this is where we sit today. So from that to that to that. And stop by anytime. We are so proud of what we've done with the building. It was not in great shape when we moved in there, but Becky made it a personal promise to make it a place where you want to be and where you want to work, and we deeply appreciate that.
Well, and we'll give credit where credit is due. 6 years ago, we were making some changes at the Chamber. And we mentioned that Mr. Bergstrom was very involved in supporting the organization. He actually came to our board chair and said, I'm redoing my corporate offices. We have to redo our Lexus dealership and our Audi dealership. Would the Chamber like the furniture? And he sent 2.5 semi-trucks full of furniture to the Chamber and pulled out all of the old furniture that was there and recarpeted the building, because it was very important to him and to our business community that when people come to the Chamber, that it's a good representation of the businesses that are here in the Fox Cities. And he did that for us in 2018.
Yep, very nice, good supporter. Okay, a few more slides. Again, talking about how the Chamber helps advocate and work for the betterment of the community. The Expo Center was something we were also passionate about bringing to fruition, and the economic impact of that on the business community has just been amazing. So that started in 2008, and the Expo Center opened in 2017. Fox Cities Regional Partnership. So we have always done economic development at the Chamber since inception. It's just been in our blood. It's who we are, it's what we do. So in 2012, we felt it was so important that we separated it out. It's still a program of the Fox Cities Chamber, but we call it the Fox Cities Chamber Regional Partnership. And what we do is we partner with municipalities, we work with site selectors, commercial developers, talent retention and attraction, which is a huge issue with our workforce. We have a lot of programs and initiatives that support that to, again, make sure we have the right infrastructure and programs and services to help our businesses succeed and thrive.
And if you ever want just the latest, most current information and statistics on what's going on in the 2.5 counties around Appleton, just go to the Fox Cities Chamber website and click on Economic Development. We have a wonderful partnership where that information is updated. Is it weekly or daily? It's very regularly, and it's great statistics on information you may want to know about our community.
Yeah, there is some great, from demographic to education to job postings, so a lot of great economic information. Do we define our market area for them? Did you state that or not?
I don't think I did. So we are actually the 2.5 counties. So northern Winnebago, think of it this way, northern Winnebago, all of Outagamie, and all of Calumet County. So basically New London over to Brillion, Wrightstown down to the exit just past Menasha Corp is the area that is serviced by our organization.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then in 2020, you all may remember this little illness that took over the world for a while called COVID. The pandemic hit, and that greatly impacted businesses, as you all know. A lot of them suffered, a lot of them closed. As a Chamber of Commerce, what could we do? So we worked diligently to partner with other groups, information, education. We put together resources, continuously stayed on top of things, and shared it at no charge to any business, to other chambers of commerces. We all just wanted to work together to help get through this thing and hopefully help people survive and thrive, businesses survive and thrive, I should say. But as a result of that, that was one of the reasons why we started our free membership for Connect Free. That program is a free membership for any business with 5 or fewer employees, a nonprofit with 10 or fewer employees, and we included restaurants in there. So any freestanding restaurant can join the Chamber of Commerce for free. And part of the reason is they were one of the hardest hit by COVID. And we wanted to give them access to the tools and resources that would hopefully help them, keep open and just get through this and survive. I've mentioned the airport affiliation, something that just happened earlier this year. We're so excited for. Becky and a team actually flew out to Dallas with Abe, the airport director, to advocate. We were competing against 2 other airports, or just?
Yeah, one's just to the north of us that the Packers fly into a lot.
No names mentioned. But we were competing for this direct Dallas flight. And it may not sound like much, but for our businesses, this has been huge. Can you tell them the Shakla story?
Sure. To tell you a little bit about just one business here in our footprint that this direct Dallas flight was key for is Plexus, based in Neenah. So Plexus, right before we had been down there, had just done an earnings call, and they were valued at about a $4.4 billion organization. And they're on a trajectory to be a $25 billion organization in 5 to 10 years. Their corporate headquarters are here, but a lot of their growth is in Guadalajara, Mexico. Now, to get from their corporate offices here in Neenah down to Guadalajara, it was 4 flights in one day just to get to that location. When we were able to lock in the Dallas direct flight, now it's 2 flights instead of 4. So, and there's a number of businesses that really needed that type of direct connectivity to the rest of the world, from Miller Electric, Pierce and their fire engines, a little bit of everybody. So this was a really important flight. And I can tell you, Abe Weber, our airport director, has worked diligently for 10 years to try to get that flight locked in here in Appleton. He had worked so hard on that I'll tell you this story that he doesn't share very often. They called him from American Airlines and said, Abe, we've run all the numbers. The Green Bay market has the Packers, they're bigger, we're gonna have to give them the direct Dallas flight. And he just sat there with his head in his hands, and a bunch of American Airlines employees flooded into the room and said, just kidding, it's coming to Appleton. That's how hard he had worked on it. So kudos to Abe.
That's right. Yep. And then just the final thing that happened just in July, as Becky mentioned, is we were thrilled to be named National Chamber of the Year at our national convention in Dallas. We feel to win this in our 150th anniversary year is not only fitting, but it caps off a great year of celebration. So we greatly appreciate that honor. I did have a couple slides I called just for fun, just a few things I wanted to share with you. Number one, this is the chamber logo through the years. Again, as much as we could dig, what we've seen the logo evolve to through the years, and I'm sure we've missed a few, but we thought it was just fun to look at. Like back in the 1900s, graphics weren't a big thing. So it's basically text. And then you can kind of see the tone, like that looks very 1950s, doesn't it? And that looks very 70s. And then that's the 80 and 90s, 2000, 2005, 2013. This was a logo when I came, and we went through a rebrand 2 years ago, and we're very thrilled and excited to have something that's a little more energetic, vibrant, and exciting. And that's why we did it, and we embraced the orange and the whole Fox concept. The last one in the end, we did create a special logo for our 150th anniversary that will end after this year, but now we have a special logo for our Chamber of the Year as well. So just a few more pictures. These were all from around 1874. This was Appleton's first skyscraper, a 3-story building at the corner of College Avenue and Oneida Street. It was constructed in the 1850s, but it was destroyed by fire in 1875. The upper right, that was in the flats, Briggs and Wambold Sash, Door, and Blind Factory. And both of these shots are from 1874, which is why I included them. This is the year the chamber was born, so I thought that was fun to show that. On the bottom, it's a little bit harder to see it, but there's 3 businesses represented. In the back is the Blast Furnace. Front left is Hayes Ham and Tannery. And then on the right is Camps Brothers Cannery. These pictures, the 2 on the right, are from the 1920s. This was the Appleton Police Department on one of its brand new snowmobile patrol sleds. The snowmobiles have come a long way since then, as you can tell. Bottom right, that is the Post Crescent delivery truck from the 1920s. This was a class, and that was also from the 1920s, the Appleton Vocational School, which eventually became Fox Valley Technical College. So I do have to make one more comment. When I was doing all the research, a lot of it was about men. The 21 men started this. The men met and decided this, and the men. And, which, okay, I get it. That was a time, and that's what the men did. But just to show you, thankfully, it's changed in 150 years. The chamber world is now 70%, Becky? 70% female. So thankfully, that has evolved with the rest of the world, and it's not just the men making all the decisions. Nothing against you guys, by the way.
So be it that Oktoberfest is our largest event that we own. When we came into the beginning of the year, we went and met with McFleshman's, who makes our Oktoberfest for that, or our Oktoberfest beer for that event. And you may have seen their beer in cases in different locations all over the Fox cities for the past year that is branded for our 150th anniversary. So right now this year, if you buy their original Pirates Cove beer or their something amber beer, it does say Fox Cities Chamber 150th anniversary as a nod to supporting our business community. So we thank them for partnering with us.
Any questions? Yeah,
There's Barry's hand, but
I have a story, actually.
yeah, great.
Can you put that snowmobile picture back up?
Oh, there it is.
About maybe 15 years ago, I retired from the police department. So about 15 years ago, WSBY had a person from the Eagle River Museum on, and they said, we have this first snowmobile, 1922. And I called in, I said, I'm sorry to differ with you, but the Appleton Police Department has a picture with newspaper articles, and the license plate on our snowmobile says 1912. And I got a call from one of our officers about 2 weeks later from the police department saying, we just had somebody here from the Eagle River Museum. And the only thing they said after looking at our stuff was, oh crap, he was right. So I think Appleton should be advertising home of the first snowmobile.
You want to let the mayor know that, Becky?
Okay.
Okay. Now they have the best tap water, right, Laura? They're voted best water.
Laura was sharing that. That, I don't know if you all heard the news. Laura was telling us.
Oh, earlier today on Channel 2, Appleton has been awarded the best tap water, the best drinking water in the state of Wisconsin.
Any other questions or stories? Yes.
So what do you actually do? Somebody comes to town and comes to visit you and you direct them, or what do you do?
Becky, I'm gonna let you tackle that one.
So at the core of who we are, we always use the 3 words: connect, grow, and lead. Do you want me to take that?
Yeah, just in case, yeah.
And at the core of who we are as an organization, we promote economic development and employers while we improve the quality of life here in the Fox Cities. So think of it this way: the business community comes together to create an environment where businesses can thrive. And along the way, we do all of the things that we can to make this a better community for everybody to live in. So we hold a lot of events where people bring the community together, but we also do a lot of mission work that is tied to talent attraction and retention. We do a lot of work connecting our schools with our businesses so that our students understand the opportunities that exist right here. For example, we have a career fair at the Expo every year where we bring in between 2,000 and 3,000 students from 17 different school districts. They come down the big escalators, and the first thing we do is we have them sit and hear from a speaker who talks to them about soft skills, talks to them about what their body language means when they talk to somebody, talks to them about where their phones should be and where they shouldn't be. And then they prepare them and say, when you walk through these doors into the Expo Center, you are going to talk to employers for the first time in your life. And this is your chance to make a great first impression. And the doors open and they see Gulfstream and Pierce fire engines and Miller Electric welders, and they get a chance to do a hands-on experiment with all of these employers. So we do things like that, connecting our employers. We also have awards banquets where we recognize our top educators, and we make sure that we're celebrating those people that are developing our future workforce. So in addition to attracting businesses, retaining talent, we are also advocating for our community. And in a lot of ways, we are putting out fires before anybody has any idea that it's even smoldering. A good example of that, during COVID, remember all of our small businesses were just hanging on by a thread, and the government put out payroll protection to help them pay their employees when they couldn't bring them to work? In the state of Wisconsin, they decided it might be a great idea to tax payroll protection. So the federal money would come to our employers, and the state wanted to tax it. And that was a situation where we were down in Madison going, not on our watch, no way. So that's the type of thing where we are proactively watching out for our community and making sure that we can be a voice so that we're stopping those problems before they ever start.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So do you work with the city also as far as litter, graffiti, homeless? And is there like a connection with the chamber and the city to keep Appleton pure and keep it good and not get worse? You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
We work with, when Laura talked about the regional partnership, that is actually a public and private partnership. So the municipalities invest in our efforts, and we work hand in hand with them to make sure that we're taking on what the top issues are. When you look at our board of directors, Jake Woodford is still on the board. You know, we had the 9th mayor and we have the current mayor on the board. Jane Lang from Neenah is on our board of directors. So we always have representation from our municipalities. And on a regular basis, we have multiple employees that go out and meet with our businesses and figure out how we can help them grow. And the first thing we do is we reach out to the economic development people in every municipality when we go out and make sure that they're invited to come with us. So we partner very closely on all the important issues.
Years ago, before internet and the computer were really prevalent, we would go traveling like out west. I would call the city chamber of commerce where I wanted to go and ask for places to stay. Do you still do that type of thing?
Most of that is handled by the Tourism Convention Bureau.
Oh, okay.
And it's very common for chambers to do both. We always laugh in this industry, if you've met one chamber, you know one chamber, because they all do different things. But most of them years ago were combined, but it became such an important resource that, you know, the Tourism Convention Bureau took that on, and they actually collect the room tax dollars and help put that back into our community.
Okay.
So it did start with us.
Yep, that was one that started with us. And then we
can't tell
pushed them
you-
out of the nest.
Yeah, I can tell you, we still get inundated every day with phone calls. On our call tree, one of the first options is to go to the Tourism Convention Bureau. But we get crazy phone calls right down to, can you tell us what fish is running in this creek at any given time?
They were always very helpful.
Yeah.
That's like 25 years ago.
Yeah,
Yep.
and hopefully they still have the same experience when they call into a chamber.
Yeah.
Do you see anything in particular from the standpoint of being competitive as a city? Is there something which is lacking in Appleton or not as good as it should be?
We need more people. We need more people. And for many, many years, we had 3 job openings for every 1 job seeker. And we have a lot of, you know, we talk about the silver tsunami. We have a lot of people that are retiring from our workforce. So for our economy to really grow to the level that it could, we need to do a really solid job of being a welcoming community and attracting more people into our workforce here. That's our biggest challenge. And when we survey our business community, it consistently comes back affordable housing and childcare are second in line to
But isn't there
talent
any
pool.
sense that Appleton as a smallish type city growing, isn't there a sense that there's some kind of a maximum, that we don't want the city to get out of control, to spread out too much and become too big? I mean, it's kind of nice the way it is. How big do we want it?
It's funny because I've heard a lot of business leaders when they talk about our community, that our job when we're looking at businesses coming here or we're looking at our community, it's our job to outbig the smalls and outsmall the bigs, because we're kind of the sweet spot where you have the amenities of a bigger community and the safety of what we get to enjoy here in the Fox Cities.
So do you vet people that want to become members, and what happens if you have a bad actor?
Well, we do have a policy, what is it called?
Code of conduct.
Code of conduct. So in general, we have not had many issues with people not being following of our code of conduct. We have had occasion where that has happened, where we had received complaints about a member harassing others. And in that's why we have a code of conduct, and we make sure that, number one, if you're a member of our chamber, that means that, that you're not running around, selling products that don't really exist and doing fraudulent activities. And there is some credibility that obviously comes with being a chamber member as well. So, I mean, truly, it's not an issue that we run into very often. We have 700 new members that have joined us in our free membership model in the past couple of years, and we have not found that to be an issue overall. Did that help?
Yeah, because I know there was some guy around here that was taking money and not fulfilling his roofing or siding or whatever. He's actually going to prison, I guess, but I was just wondering how you deal with something like that.
Yeah, and generally, if somebody calls in and tells us that there's an issue, we will check with the Better Business Bureau, and we will recommend that that person reach out to the Better Business Bureau. Obviously, it's hard for us to police everything as far as complaints, but if we know that somebody was doing something fraudulent in our community, we would not be supporting them.
I would guess most of the fraudsters don't bother to join the chamber.
I would think you're exactly right.
Yeah. So what's been really cool about this Connect Free model and the fact that we've been able to do this for our community and our small businesses, we found that pretty quickly we had other organizations in the region come to us and say, how can we do more? So the YMCA came to us and said, we want to support our small businesses, and they put together a discounted package for those people that fall into those categories, where they now receive discounted YMCA services for themselves as owners as well as their employees, and access 24/7 to those services. And then after that, Network Health came to us and said, we want to help these small businesses as well. And they are now providing discounted health insurance for these small businesses in this category. So we're excited we were able to help these small businesses, but we're even more excited that the community keeps coming forward and saying, let's do more together.
Do you have connections with like the University of Oshkosh and what's going on in Menasha and trying to retain a college coming into Menasha at all? Does the chamber help with that?
And that's a hotbed right now. Obviously, the two counties are working very closely with that. We do have a relationship with Chancellor Levitt where he tries to keep us in the loop on everything that's going on there. I know there's discussions about trying to keep the engineering partnership in Menasha with Platteville. And I think that's going to be a little bit of a challenging situation just because I think it wasn't profitable for Platteville. But we have not played a super active role in those discussions yet, but we basically are on the ready to jump in wherever we can.
I could see something happening, and I'm just trying to be visionary here a little bit, but you want to draw strong community businesses into the community, and a college that would support that, more than the technical college, and maybe something more specialized could be out there, just to help draw business.
Yeah, and it's such a hotbed. Education is such a hotbed right now and such a hot topic because, as we all know, the past few years, there's a lot of people that have come right out of high school and be able to get great paying jobs, and it's decreased the number of people going to college.
Do you have any affiliation with the aid also, with their property, or?
Aid Association, for those which is not Aid Association anymore. It's
Thriving, redoing of their property out there.
Oh, no, we don't. That's a private, they're a member and a supporter. But, we work with them on, I think that the community, maybe many of you went and talked to them when they were trying to work on their master plan. We did meet with them, we did give input. And we are very cautiously waiting to see what happens. I think it's a huge opportunity.
I just want to beat up this man. So I moved to Appleton for a reason, not Milwaukee. So I'd kind of like to sort of, cut some of this development down.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to be Milwaukee.
Getting there. Try to get from one side of this city to the other. And
The downtown, if you lived here, growing up as a kid, the downtown was very vibrant.
Yes.
It was a great downtown. It had everything. It's gone.
Ours now in trouble.
It's gone.
Well, I can tell you, as a couple of Yoopers up here, Appleton has been a thriving metropolis since we moved here. It's been great to see what a great community it is.
Well, and not to necessarily cut you short, but
No, you're good.
My late wife and I were up in the Keweenaw Peninsula 16 years ago, and we When we first got there, we were in Lons, I think is the way the town is pronounced.
Yep.
We stopped at a restaurant, and we asked the waitress, we said, well, you live up here in God's country, where do you go when you go away? Appleton Mall.
Uh,
And they didn't know we were from Appleton, so that was a totally, a round of applause.